One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. One day I'm gonna be free. We're standing at the crossroads, feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take some chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
That's right, man. What's up? What's up, AB? What's up, Aaron?
Hey, how's it going, Mike and Arch?
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? So we got 7 days and went by, and we back on here again. So me, Archbishop Mike Ball, and we got Aaron with us today. And welcome to the Dominant Effect. So before we get started, we're gonna go through the little particulars, find out how everybody did this week, and then we're gonna jump on into what we're gonna talk about today. So Mike, how was your week, brother?
It was good, man. As you guys know, it's been like, I think this is my about third week that I haven't been able to walk, but I've been super active still. You know, I'm still going out to eat and stuff like that with the family. And we had 3 crazy barbecues in the last week, which is doing barbecue 3 times in a week. That's a lot, you know, a lot of prep work. You know, we're doing 18, 20-hour smokes on this shit. So it's been some good eats over here for sure.
Oh, okay. Okay. What about you, Aaron?
Well, I had a gun show in Butler County this past weekend that I traveled to, and very successful show, and I always enjoy doing them. It's my definiteness of purpose. You know, I like meeting new people. I like having a camaraderie of being around folks that's interested in the same thing I'm interested in. That goes a long ways to making work seem more like fun, you know. And then I've been spending time this week up till today with my daughter. So we've been getting some father-daughter time in, and I'll be seeing my grandchildren tomorrow. So I'm in heaven right now. So
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, this week has been, hasn't been bad. It's been pretty good. I've been busy a lot. So there was, for those of you that didn't know, on October 20th, they're going to do the premiere of the first movie that me and
Oh
Big
shit!
Bone
The first
Center
one
was
that you
in.
did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's called Riding Dirty. So on October 20th, they're going to do a movie premiere, and then it goes out from there. So it's supposed to be this this big thing. You know what I mean? I've never been to one, so it's going to be a little exciting for everybody. I mean, I got family flying in, people coming from different states, everywhere else to come and watch this. So that should be pretty good. Actually, they're going to have a trailer is supposed to come out by the end of the month. So once I get that trailer, then I'll put it out so that way everybody can see it. And
you're gonna put it out on your channel?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it
Nice.
on the channel, and then I'll play it during the shows, so that way everybody can see it, and kind of push it out a little bit before it hit the screen.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So then I'm working on another one right now. It's called Standing on Business. So I end up getting the lead role on that. So
Sheesh.
that one's been keeping me busy. And from what this director is talking about, he wants 3 more done by the end of the year. So
Whoa.
right. So
Damn.
Yeah. So I've been busy, and I'm
You're
from the looks of
working.
it, I'm gonna be busy for a while. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like I said, I thank God for that, because I wouldn't have did this or even thought about doing this if it wasn't for him. So all praises to God for that. So tonight's story, it's a good one. I had the pleasure of meeting this lady back a few months ago. One of my friends, Bobby Worthy, y'all may know him. He's been on the show before. Was telling me the story about Olivia, and I had to have this conversation with her. Me and her talked. First time me and her talked, we talked for a little over 2 hours about just different stuff. You know what I mean? It seemed like that conversation was like we knew each other forever. You know, it was that kind of conversation. But for those of you who don't know who she is, we're talking about Olivia Coley Pearson. She is the first Black city commissioner in Douglas, Georgia, elected. She served 6 terms, 24 years as the city commissioner, which is an unbelievable feat, nonetheless, of being in office for that long. You know, so there's a lot of service that she done, and for her to keep getting elected like that, she had to been doing her job. But in her story, there was some stuff that went on that she's going to talk about, and her story it's a great story because it goes into how she started, her upbringing, on to her public service, on to what happened back in 2016 that traumatized her. But by her strength and Almighty God, she prevailed through that, and there's continuing to push forward in Georgia, dealing with various issues, but one in particular is getting people out to vote. So without further ado, let's get her on here. Everybody, this is Olivia Coley Pearson.
That's right. Welcome to the show, Olivia.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for having me.
Of course. We love that you're able and wanting to tell your story, for sure.
Most definitely. Yes, yes. And I have told it several places, different reporters, interviews. Yeah, so I've told it a lot. But thank you all for having me on your show.
Oh yeah. You know, the first time me and you talked on the phone, you know, after we had our conversation, the very last thing I said was, okay, so what I need to do to get you on my show? and and we were supposed to have done this show a couple months ago,
Right.
and had some other stuff that came around and scheduling and stuff like that. So, but now is what is a better time based on what we're going to talk about. Now is actually the perfect time to have her on here. So, so I guess my first question is what actually got you into public service? Like, what was it that made you want to be commissioner?
Well, I think I have to attribute really to my mother, my upbringing. My mother, when I was 11, 12 years old, she would carry me to city council meetings, school board meetings. I would go to all these meetings she would attend as a young girl. So I think that's what initially sparked the interest. However, upon going to college at Clark College of Atlanta, Georgia, I majored in political science. My second year there, I had the opportunity to have a chance to work on former Mayor Andrew Young's campaign, and talking to other colleagues on the yard then, telling them about getting registered and voting. So it just stemmed basically from my mom carrying me to all these different meetings and me seeing at a young age how things work and what happens and the importance of being involved and engaged in the political process.
Okay. Now, your mother, she was one of the founding members of the NAACP in Douglas, Georgia. Am I correct?
That's correct. She was.
Okay. So
she served as president for a few years, and she also served as the secretary.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. So she was now she was around when everything was going on, all the turmoil and everything else. Did she ever tell you anything, Dylan, during that time as to what was going on? Like, what was she thinking during that time? I mean, like, I know that everybody that was involved in NAACP that was with Martin, and you know, with the marches and the boycotts and all the other stuff that was going on. Did she ever share any of that stuff with you?
Well, she didn't, work directly in the area as Dr. King was geographically, but she shared what was happening. She shared with us and all of myself and all of my siblings what was happening in our area, So basically, I recall there were problems in the school system that she got out and protested about, how Black children would be disciplined differently from white children. She protested about how there were no Blacks during that time frame working at the post office there, at the banks. She shared it, but she didn't just share it. She didn't just talk about it. She demonstrated about it. She got out and she marched. Sometimes I recall she marched by herself. And the most prevalent thing that I can recall is that we had a Black principal. I think he might have been, I can't say the first Black principal we had, but I think maybe the longest serving. His name was Mr. J.D. Murray. And there was something that happened that they did something to his job, I think, because I was about 14 maybe, and they fired him, and mom and a lot of people got together and went to the Board of Education and made a complaint saying that it was not right, so forth and so on. And if I recall correctly, I believe Mr. Murray got reinstated. But yeah, she didn't just talk about what was going on. She showed us what was going on so that we could relate to it and see it. So it's not a myth It's not, a theory. It was a reality that things were not just and fair.
Right.
And also, one of the other main things she got involved with, in being with the NAACP, was the lawsuit that the NAACP filed while she was a part of it, to have the city of Douglas sued. I can't recall the year. Like I said, I was a young girl, early 70s or whatever, so that there could be more minorities elected to the city council, because to redistrict the lines so that we could get more representation. And let me just correct right quick. I'm not the first Black elected in Douglas. I'm the first Black female elected to the city council.
Okay. Okay. So with what you just said there, that clearly shows where that ambition and that drive came from for you to, want to actually go out and do this. So with that particular position as being the city commissioner, okay, did that just pop up and you just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna run for that? Or was it a reason why you wanted that particular job?
I can't say honestly that I actually wanted the job. I was active in the community, getting people registered to vote. Folk would come to me when there were problems. I would try to assist, point them in the right direction. During the time that I ran in 1999, prior to that, around 1994, 95, there were some problems going on in the city of Douglas. Racial tensions were high. In Douglas, there were areas that Black young folk would congregate, areas that the whites would congregate. Okay, the young Blacks felt that they were being targeted because when they would get on the block, it was called the block. They would be on the block, South Gaskin Avenue on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Roundtree Park. That's where the Blacks went. And every weekend that they would go there, the police would come, and there would always be problems. They would be made to leave from where they were. There were some people that got arrested for obstruction of officer charges, simply if they asked the policeman why you want to whatever, We never heard of any problems happening at the Dairy Queen where the white kids were assembling at. We didn't hear of that. So there was a big problem going on. I mean, it was just every weekend almost. So 94, 95, that was happening. People began coming to me. I said, let's organize. We're going to go down to City Hall. We went to City Hall. We were probably about 50, 60 deep. And we expressed what the problem was. We had a signed petition, and we were demanding that it be stopped. Well, it didn't stop. It continued. As it came time to have an election, several people came to me asking me to run for the position of city commissioner. I ran. That was in 1999, and I won and went in January 1st of 2000. So, but not saying that I didn't want to do it. I wasn't planning to do it at that moment. I had thought about it, for in the future, but I wasn't really planning on it right then.
You would never probably say that you're ever really, really ready. You know what I mean? Like, you could wait 100 years and you still ain't ready. It's just doing that jump, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I don't think you're ever really ready. But
sure.
One thing about it, I gave it my all. I gave it my all because I love people and I wanted people to be treated fairly and just. And when I first came on the council, there were no Black department heads. There were no Hispanics. There were just some. We needed more diversity in our hiring process, and I introduced that we needed that, and now we do have it. I'm not sure of the numbers, but we have some Black department heads. We have Hispanics working. I think things have gotten better. So, and to my knowledge, the complaints. I also had develop what was called Community Relations Advisory Council, because we were having all those problems. At first, it was called the Douglas Race Relations, but some people didn't like that name, so they changed it. But anyway, it was a council that was created so that citizens could have a way when they had problems to come to vent and seek solutions.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now you went in 2000. So that, I mean, that's
24
not
years
really,
ago.
Right. That's not.
That sounds like yesterday.
Right. But, but based on what she was saying about, the Hispanics and the blacks not being in certain positions and stuff, like, you realize, like, this is actually during our time. This has literally been 24 years ago. You know what I mean? This wasn't the 70s or the 60s,
right,
or even the 80s.
Yeah, I lived through it. If I lived through it, that's pretty, like, oh wow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess so once you came in as the commissioner, and I'm pretty sure that once you got in there, you kind of hit the ground running, so to speak, because nobody really knows, like, it's not like a rap sheet of, like, okay, like, this is what you do.
Right.
You gotta go out there and you just gotta start doing stuff.
Yes, sir.
So was the whole getting people out to vote, was that like your charge? I mean, being that, like of course people register to vote, but then you also have people that wasn't registered. You had people that couldn't read and stuff like that. Because especially in certain areas like that, where you had like a third of the people that was in, I'm saying that you're in Coffee County, correct?
Correct.
Because a third, they had reading problems during that particular time, and even up till now.
That's correct.
So that's a big thing that was going on that you wouldn't think would be going on right now, but I mean, it is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So, so getting people out there to vote, like, once you started doing that, did you have like a group of people that's like, okay, we're gonna go house to house and we're gonna see, who voted, who ain't gonna vote? Let's get these people in here. Like, what was it that made you say, okay, this is what we need to start doing, and actually got proactive and started doing it? What was it that made you start doing that?
Well, I think initially when I started, I didn't have a group of people assisting. It was just something that I would do alone. And sometimes I would get my kids to go with me or whatever, because I knew of the importance, how important it is that people get registered and go vote. So initially I was doing it by myself, but then within the last, maybe 15 years or 14, however many years, I'm not exactly sure, I began garnering support from other people. I became affiliated with other organizations that I won't say it was their mission to do this work as I was doing it, but it fell within the scope of their work too, to work on getting people registered to vote. So that's when we kind of began to get teams of us going out, more of us going out, getting people registered and, carrying them to the polls and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So did you see something like did you see something that actually hit that spark, like lit this light bulb above your head, like, you know what, this is what we need to start doing? Was there something that actually happened during that time that gave you that thought, like, okay, we need to jump on this, and we need to jump on this like right now?
Well, what I saw was, in being out talking with people and telling them the importance about getting registered and voting, I was running into so many people who, expressed having a problem or a fear in trying to go vote. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like you just mentioned, for nowadays that some people have struggles with literacy, it was kind of unbelievable. But you have to know where folk come from, because there are some people that I know who can't read or whatever, who had to work on farms when they were growing up and had to stop school. So there are all various kinds of reasons that might cause that. Some women might have gotten pregnant and then didn't finish school. It's just the same thing for some men. They've had to, know a gentleman not far from where I live who had to work on the farm because the family needed the money and wasn't able to go to school during that time when they were growing up. So, and there are even some now that's younger who you might have been in some of the special classes, and was not able to get the education that they needed to fully be able to read, to comprehend what they read and understand it, like the referendums that's on ballots sometimes that we have to vote on. So there are so various reasons. And the way you find out is by getting out there, dealing with the people, which is what I was doing, which I've done for years now. And I still do. I'm retired from city council, but it wasn't about me being on the city council to do this work. Like I said, I began doing this work actually when I was in college. So
yeah,
it's just part of what I do.
Right. Yeah. When I was looking up some stuff there, it said that like right before 1965, that a lot of southern states like forced voters to prove that they could read before they could cast a ballot. And a lot of that was done to disenfranchise people, to keep them from voting until the the Voting Rights Act.
Voting Rights Act.
Afterwards to keep them from
that's right. There were all kind of things put in place. At one point in time, people had to guess how many jelly beans were in a jar. Had to recite parts of the Constitution. There were all kind of mechanisms put in place years ago to prevent certain folks from voting. And it's sad, but even now today, in my opinion, we see, and I think Mr. Aaron had his hand up, but let me say this why I got this thought. In my opinion, it's still happening in a certain kind of way. It's a more sophisticated way. But for instance, here in Georgia, with the passing of that Senate Bill 202, it puts certain restraints on people being able to vote. Like, for instance, if someone is elderly and they can't get their ballot filled out, you got to be a relative of theirs. What if they have no relative? You got to be a relative of theirs to get it turned back in or mailed off. It's just a restraint put in place to suppress the vote.
Okay, so let me ask you this one, and then Aaron, you can ask yours. I just got this in my mind right quick. So let's talk about right now. So if I walked into a polling station and I couldn't read, how would I go about the voting process? Would they still let me vote? I mean, how would they do that? Yeah,
they'll let you vote. You might not know how or whom you voted for, because actually in Georgia, poll workers cannot assist voters with voting, and employers cannot assist voters with voting. But if you're a regular citizen, now if that person wants me to assist them, I have a right to assist them. Now, this is a federal election, so to my knowledge, there's no limit on how many people you can assist during a federal election. But when there's other elections going on, you can only assist like 10 people.
Okay.
So it's a problem. It's a problem. It really is.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, wow. So if I went in there and I went in there to vote like I wanted to vote, but I knew that I couldn't understand what's at this prompter in front of me. I mean, like, is there people that they would have to be like, okay, this is this person, this is this one. You know what I mean? I mean, not actually tell me what I need to do, but be able to explain it to me to where I can go in that booth and be able to make my vote. You know what I mean? And not just like, okay, I just hit a bunch of buttons.
Right. Yeah. There's nobody designated to do that. If a person know that they don't know how, they should try to find someone they trust and ask them to assist them when they go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can bring somebody with me and say, hey, I can't read, but they can, and I need them to go in there with me if I can cast my vote.
That's true. At the polling location, you can do that. But with the absentee ballots, like I told you about that elderly person who's at home, if they don't have a family member, they can't get that assistance.
So only if they were to show up with, let's say, a friend that could do it. That's essentially the only way that they could do it in person.
In person?
Yeah,
yes.
In person.
Yes. They could go.
But they would have to do it in person, essentially, if they couldn't read theoretically.
Right. They would have to go. Yeah.
Got it.
But you could do, and you could do an absentee ballot if you can't read, if you have a family member or a caretaker assisting you. That came about under that Senate Bill 202 I referred to.
What was your question, Aaron?
Well, I was going to make a point and then ask the question. I mean, when she was talking about the elderly not being able to get there, I mean, there's a significant number of people who wouldn't be able to make it. People that are physically challenged, elderly who's lost their license, because some people after 80 automatically lose their driver's license. You got people with Alzheimer's or dementia that have moments of clarity that can still vote, but now they get confused from time to time. And if they're doing, and you got people that are mentally handicapped, not just low literacy, they're just mentally handicapped. They could be crippled and can't hardly stand. They got cerebral palsy. I mean, you got a significant number of people. And to me, that's like low-key voter intimidation when you make steps complicated for people to be able to exercise as something as a simple right to vote.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. And I can't recall the law firm, but there's currently some legal entity that has filed suit about that Senate Bill 202 because it is suppressing the vote. It's intimidation. It's just not. It's not right. It's not right.
That's crazy. Now we're gonna jump into your story. Because there was something that went on, and I'm gonna let you tell it. I'm not gonna spoil it, but this is what actually drew me for wanting you to be on this show to talk about exactly what this was about. Because once you hear this story, you're gonna realize a couple things. Number one, there was a lot of deception. Number two, there was a lot of coercion and just blatant disrespect. You know what I mean? As to like why would you put somebody through this? You know, and especially after they hear this story, then I'm gonna get back into it. But I want you to tell them what happened.
Okay. And just before I get into that, you asked me a question about why I do this, and I think it's innate. I'm gonna go back to something that I recall. I received an award during Black History Month for my service, and he was a former city council member, but he was also my principal. He brought up a point when he presented me that award, and what he said was, Olivia has not just began advocating for people since she's been in politics on the council. She was advocating for people when she was in middle school. That's when he was my principal, and I had forgotten about that. But there was an incident that happened with some young girls in my classroom that wasn't right. Some inappropriate touching by someone, and because I was talking to the girls, telling them, look, he shouldn't be doing that to y'all. Don't let him do it, or whatever, however I said it. I was written up and sent to the office, and that principal brought that back to my remembrance when he presented me with that award. So what happened in 2000? I guess it was 2016, and I received the notice about it. They said voter fraud. I received a letter in approximately 2018 saying that in 2016, if I'm correct, I had committed voter fraud, and there was going to be a hearing up at the Secretary of State's office in Macon, Georgia. I could come if I wanted to, but I didn't have to come. I could have a lawyer if I wanted to, but I didn't have to have a lawyer. Well, I'm curious. I'm saying, I'm being told in this letter something about voter fraud that I'm involved with. So I'm gonna go. So I went. So they asked me about if I had assisted 4 people, is what they said then. And 2 of the people I recalled that I had assisted, because one was my nephew, and I can't right now recall who the other one was, but 2 I didn't recognize, didn't know. So it was decided at that state election board meeting, it was decided they were going to refer it to the attorney general, and for the attorney general to make a decision, if I'm recalling this correctly, and so forth and so on. Attorney general, I don't know what was decided, but some kind of way it got handed down to the district attorney's office of Coffee County, and the district attorney's office decided to indict me. But the Secretary of State's office at that time didn't find any wrongdoing. But anyway, so how I got indicted, it behooves me. And,
what year was this?
When I went up for the hearing, it was 2018.
Okay.
But it was the incident. No, that's not correct. I think I went up for the hearing in 2016. I actually went to trial 2018.
Gotcha.
Y'all bear with me, because
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It was very traumatic. So it's hard to keep all these dates straight. So anyway, so it was 2016 when I actually went up for that hearing. So got indicted. And I'm like, what? So the 4 names that I was told about when I went for the hearing, when the indictment came about and I went for arraignment, which I pled not guilty, it was different names. The names had changed. Well, I guess maybe that's possible. Anyway, long story short, I went through 2 trials. I was tried twice. The first time ended in a mistrial. There was a young lady, 23, 24-year-old young lady on there, black lady, who voted not guilty. That lady has since done a video on YouTube. That juror did a video on YouTube telling what she was going through back there in the jury chambers, where she was being threatened to be sent to jail if she did not vote me guilty. But nonetheless, she did not vote guilty. She voted not guilty. But she has told her story on YouTube. So BuzzFeed News came and interviewed me, and they interviewed the district attorney that day when the mistrial was, and he told BuzzFeed, according to the BuzzFeed article, that he was going to immediately retry the case. So the case got retried, and by this time I had different attorneys. Someone had gotten to some attorneys up in Atlanta with the Southern Center for Human Rights and told them what was happening to me. I got a call from the managing attorney from that office, saying she was coming through Coffee County, not necessarily through Coffee, but she could stop through Coffee. She wanted to meet with me if I was willing, because she had heard about my story and she wanted to discuss it. She asked me, would I meet her? I told her, sure, I'll be glad to meet you. I met with her. I carried all the files and papers that I had. I told her everything that I knew that had went on. About a week later, I got a call back from them, her telling me that they wanted to take my case. Thank God. So they took my case. Immediately, they got, because it was actually 4 charges. There were 4 charges. 2 false swearing, and 2 improperly assisting a voter, which was, to my knowledge, not even on the official code of Georgia annotated as a charge. But that's what they were. So my attorneys from Southern Center for Human Rights got 3 of those charges dismissed because they were without merit. The one charge that stayed was the false swearing, because according to the DA and whomever, I committed false swearing by signing the paper that said I was assisting this person because she needed help because of illiteracy or a disability. To clear that up, which the young lady, she testified both times. She explained to them that I didn't really assist her, and I didn't. If it's the young lady, and to my knowledge, I cannot swear and say that was that young girl. I can't say that. I do recall an instance with one girl, young girl, that someone brought and said they couldn't help her, but she needed help. But they couldn't help her because they had to go take care of something, and asked me would I help her because she couldn't do it, didn't know how to vote, whatever. So when I went in with her, the supervisor at that time told me in order to go to her machine, I got to sign this paper. That's what she said. She didn't say to me, in order to go to her machine because she can't read or she's disabled, you have to sign this paper. She said in order to go to her machine, you have to sign the paper. I signed the paper. I walked to the machine with the young lady. I verbally said to her, explain what she needed to do. That card right there that you have, you'll put it there. When you put it there, a screen will come up. When that screen comes up, it'll tell you some stuff. You read it. I said, and then at the bottom, it'll be next. I say, once you read each one, you hit next. You hit next until you've seen all of them. And once you've seen them all, at the end, it'll tell you to review your ballot. If it's who you want, you're satisfied with it, then you'll hit cast ballot and you're done. And your card will pop out and you take it and turn it back in. She had not even started voting. I was just at her machine telling her, explaining to her what to do. I walked away after I explained that to her. I walked away and I left. She began voting after I walked away. So technically, there was no assistance provided to her in voting. But that's what that false swearing was about. That I went to trial on the second time, last time, because the others had got dismissed. But like I said, my attorneys got a change of venue. We went to Wayne County, Georgia, and in less than 20 minutes, those jurors heard the whole story, heard the young lady testify, and they came out with a not guilty verdict. So that's the gist of what happened. Yes.
Okay. I also want to bring out 2 other points in your first trial and your second trial. The young lady that you referred to, that they tried to intimidate her to vote against you and she wouldn't. From what I understand, she, one of her co-jurors made a statement, and he used the N-word, that you can't have an N sitting on a panel jury.
Yes.
And that created an investigation right there. And then when they took you to the other place to have the trial, they tried stacking the jury by trying to discredit different members of color that would have sat on that jury, and coming up with dubious excuses to discredit them and say, no, we don't want this juror. No, we don't want that juror, because they was trying to stack the jury against you. I think that's important to bring it up.
Yes. I had forgotten about those facts, but that's correct. That's correct. Off the rip, the state, they got all of the black men off of the jury pool right from the very beginning. Not one black man served on that jury panel. Yeah, and that and back in the first trial, yes, when my investigators that represented me, my attorneys, investigators, when they went and investigated and talked, they found out that that term was used by one of those jurors. One of them got on the jury, one of them. And when it was asked to clarify, that's what I was told the answer was, one of the N word, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So was you okay? So when you first heard about this, like do you know who the person was that actually made the allegation from the beginning?
I was told two different people. The supervisor, the one I told you about, that told me to go to the machine, that I had to sign the paper. Her and one of the people who was one of the was the chairman at the time of the Board of Elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she tells you to go over there, fill out this paperwork, and go and take her over there, but then turn around, and accuse you of fraud when she the one that told you to go over in the first place.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Wow. Correct.
So let me ask you this. So you went through that whole process, and I know on a daily you had that on your mind as to what's going on, trying to figure out what's going on. You know, you went through the first trial. It was a mistrial. Then you heard about what they were doing. They were, basically telling jurors, if you don't vote her guilty, we're gonna lock you up, and different stuff like that. I mean, which is crazy to me, because when jury's supposed to deliberate, they're not supposed to have contact with anyone. But you sending people in there to basically tell them, like, okay, you're gonna vote guilty, or you're gonna go to jail, or some of
the very same co-jurors were threatening to call the police to have her arrested. Some of the ones in the back with her were the ones who were, yes.
Oh, these were the actual, okay.
Yeah.
These people that was in the actual jury that was okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the jury, the chair, the foreperson for the jury was a former doctor of mine. And according to the juror, the one that was not going to vote guilty, he came in as soon as they got in, according to her, and she says this on the YouTube, that as soon as they got in, they said, okay, he said, okay, who all say guilty? And he raised his hand. No discussion.
And he was your doctor? Wow.
Yeah. not my primary care provider, but I had went to visit him before for something. But and he admitted when they were picking the jurors. Now I didn't have the Southern Center for Human Rights as my attorneys at that time, but he said he could be fair. So, but still, looking back, I don't think they should have allowed him, being that he had been my doctor. But I see now that was part of the plan, because he had been my doctor. They had already discussed that.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay. I'd like to also mention here, because I think this is very important, that these jokers offered her an out by going to offer her a plea deal. And we all know that when they offer you a plea deal, if you take it, you're going to go to jail. You're going to get less time. But if you choose to fight it, now you're looking at maximum sentencing. And she had the courage to move forward against maximum sentencing. And not only would she have lost her liberty, which is her freedom, she'd have lost her job, and she would have lost her pension as well. And she still went up against the odds. So I have nothing but a great deal of respect for her for doing that. That's right. Most people would have took the easier way out.
Yes, because I've worked for the State Board of Pardons and Paroles for years, going to prisons, interviewing people who are incarcerated. And some of them, when I was interviewing, not a whole lot, but there were a few that, say, ma'am, I'm innocent. I didn't do it. I was like, well, what you mean you didn't do it? Why did you plead, or however I said it back then? And they would be like, I didn't want to risk getting the more years. Yeah. So I couldn't understand it at that point when I would interview those people, but being that I went through it, you know, I could understand how people would go ahead and take a plea,
Absolutely,
even when they're innocent.
It's an intimidation factor because, I mean, you know that the odds are stacked against you. You've got all these guys with all their funds and unlimited resources and stuff like that, and I'm little old me. You know? Yeah, absolutely. It's intimidation at its finest.
That's exactly right, and it's sad. It's so sad, and my heart just goes out to people who have been railroaded and have not had a chance at a fair trial. It's just not right. We need criminal justice reform. We even need judicial reform. I'm seeing some things in my county right now that happen with the judges, disparities in sentencing, and it's just unbelievable. 2 people hit a person, both persons got killed. One left the scene. That person who left the scene said he thought he hit something else or whatever, came back 3 days later because he couldn't get tested for DUI or drugs after 3 days or whatever, maybe drugs, but not alcohol. But anyway, he got 5 years probation. Another man hit a person, stayed on the scene with that person, called 911, and is now serving a 10-year sentence in prison. And it was the same judge in the 2 different cases. It's just, it's unreal. It's unreal.
So the one that stayed got penalized, but the one who left and came back a couple of days later just got probation.
That's right.
Typical.
Right. That's typical. Let me ask you this, Olivia. So even when you went through all that stuff, you're still, as of this day, you still go around and you still helping people get out to vote. You still helping people get registered. What kept you going? Like what made you want to keep doing this, even though you just went through all the stuff that you just went through, but you still kept going? Like, what was that reasoning? Like, why did you do it? Because most people would have just said, you know what? I ain't messing with this no more, and just backed away.
True.
And you're right. So sometimes, and I'm being honest here, I am being totally honest, and I try to always be as honest as I can. But sometimes I'm like, okay, are you crazy or what? But if I'm crazy, I'm crazy because this is my passion. Is to be involved with my community, to help to make my community a better place, to try to help to educate people, to tell them, look, your future, the lives of your children and your grandchildren lies in the hands of people who are elected to office. You cannot sit back and say, oh, I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to get registered. Well, you can say it, but you shouldn't say it. And I try to explain to them how everything depends upon the political system. The Board of Education, whomever is elected there, if you have children going to school, they make the decisions about what your children learn, how they're disciplined. I mean, all of it, everything is political. You live in a city or town, you have to pay utility bills. Those utility rates are determined by people who are elected. Everything revolves around voting. It's so important. So, I mean, I know the importance of it. And Aaron said something to me earlier tonight, the definiteness of purpose. I hadn't heard of that term before, but hey, this is, I guess, my definiteness of my purpose is this: being out here, engaging people, trying to educate people, telling people what I know, what can help to make things better. You've got to want to make this place, this world, a better place than how you found it. I hope people do anyway.
What you got?
Give me a moment to define definiteness of purpose. In a book called Science of Success by Napoleon Hill, he wrote that there's one talent that God has instilled in all of us, that if you can discover what it is, your chances of being successful in life go up substantially. Because if you find out what your definition of purpose is, you're going to have passion, you're going to have stamina, you're going to be able to stay inspired longer, you're going to be able to do acts of service, you're going to be able to go the extra mile that the average person wouldn't be able to do. And a lot of times, the people that start with you are not going to finish with you. You will stand alone many times, but you will have that inspiration from above that gives you this natural ability above anyone else. And that's what definiteness of purpose is.
You are exactly right. And that point you made about standing alone, before my mother died, I told you all she lived to see me in office for 10 months. And she passed away in October of 2000. And she told me, she said, I don't care if you have to stand by yourself. You stand for what is right. She told me that, and I will never forget it. And being in the seat up there for the 24 years and being out here even amongst people, when I run across people, I try to do what is right, treat them with dignity and respect, how I would want to be treated. I mean, that's just who I am. And I know some people feel like probably, people in my community think that I might talk a lot, and I guess I do, but I refuse to be silent when I see something going on wrong. I refuse to sit back and be quiet.
And let me give her a compliment here, what I'm about to say. I'm a Japanese martial artist, and we have a term called samurai. That means to be in service to. You're humble, but you're constantly in service. You're defending people who can't defend themselves. Yeah. To me, she's a modern day samurai all the way,
Thank you.
Let me ask you this one, Olivia. When we was talking earlier, I was talking about the vote. And a lot of people today, I hear it all the time, that thinks that their vote, everything is built upon the electoral college or the popular vote doesn't make sense. There's no point in voting because your vote is not going to count. And I think a lot of them said that because if you go back when Hillary Clinton and Trump was running against each other, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but Trump won the electoral college. Same thing went with Al Gore, won the popular vote, but lost the electoral college. Right. So a lot of people are thinking like, okay, well, how is that even possible? How can you win this and not get this? So they get that conception that, okay, my vote doesn't count. So you being out there, getting people, knocking on doors, talking to people, getting them out there to vote. To someone who may have said to you, my vote doesn't count, what would you say to them?
I would tell them, and I have told them, that every vote counts. Every vote counts. And that there's, I think, some misconception with people thinking that, with the electoral college, this, that, and the other, those votes. But like, if you take Georgia, for instance, Georgia has 16 electoral college votes, right? Each state is awarded their electoral college votes based upon the number of senators and the number of representatives that they would have. But if you've got, give an example of this upcoming election. If Kamala gets Georgia, she has the popular vote, and then she'll get the 16 electoral college votes. So they run hand in hand, but each vote definitely counts, and a person should not think that their vote does not count. It does. Every vote counts, but each state has different numbers of electoral college votes. So that's why it's very important that as many people in each state get out and vote as possible, because some states have more electoral college votes than others, but it's just, it's kind of difficult to explain, and some people are confused with it, but definitely, most definitely, their vote count. Every vote.
No, I can understand that viewpoint too. I mean, for instance, I was voting red in California, and it can very much make you feel like you have no say whatsoever. You go ahead and cast your vote and you're just instantly X'd out. I mean, you're taken on by a majority, right? And so that's what people are seeing. And so that hence the frustration, because their voice isn't necessarily as loud as if their party they were in their state, a different state, you know what I mean? Just for an example. But yeah, it can be frustrating for sure. And I can understand that.
Yes. And could be misunderstood by a lot of people.
True.
But everybody's vote is important. Everybody's vote matters, and all the votes, they add up. We just got to make sure that that elections are handled fairly, justly, that we have trained people to conduct these elections. Because here in Coffee County, I don't know if you all heard of it or not, but we had one of the biggest breaches in Coffee County in 2021, where certain people were allowed into our elections board office, and they were able to copy all of the data. So that has put
shit. Did they get indicted too? You know what I mean?
Well, that's an interesting question. They were indicted by Fonnie Willis in Fulton County, but no one in Coffee County
ironically
one finger to investigate them.
Typical right there.
Right.
So this this year is, of course, election season. It's election season. And one of the things that I talk about mostly, like right now, you hear just about everybody talking about whether they own the red or they own the blue. You hear talk both ways. But one of the things that I say all the time on this is that people need to focus on your local officials, your state officials. Those are the ones that actually matter, because these are the ones that's putting these bills together. Whoever's sitting at the top, he's only signing off on something after it's cleared the House and the Senate. He's just putting his signature on it at the end. So you have to focus more on those people. And a lot of people can sit here and tell you everything that you want to know about Trump or about Biden or about Harris or whatever. And then you ask them, okay, well, name who's in your city council.
Exactly.
Who's your mayor? Couldn't tell you.
Yes. If you have an issue with your government, where you're going to see the most change is not, obviously, believe it or not with the president. It's with your local office. And you should be using and casting your votes then, not only voting for the president, you should also be voting and also trying your best to get involved in the community aspect, because that's where you're going to get the ground level, like actual change.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And that's what we have been advocating for. We have been asking people to come out to sit in on the Board of Election meetings, sit in on the school board meetings, on the city council meetings. I mean, they elect people, and then they might not have been the one to go out and actually vote, but these people get elected, and very seldom does the public come and get engaged about the decisions that these folk are making. And one of the reasons why I went ahead and retired from city council, my health was failing me. After I went through all of that I went through with the trials and stuff, my health has declined tremendously, just beyond belief. And then prior to that, I lost my one and only son. But I was just like trying to get the people to come to city council to hear what's going on. And it was like almost like pulling teeth. I won't say they don't care. I don't know what it is, but you only get a few. And usually it's the same few,
Go ahead.
Like throw a question in here, because I'm trying to ascertain, does she stand alone through the majority of this? Did you ever try to put together like a mastermind group, people, skills and resources, maybe got the city manager behind you, certain bishops, deacons, pastors that are very vocal in their churches that could get the people to go out and vote? Were you able to put together a team, or did you find yourself standing alone, having to take on all this stress and struggle yourself?
Well, so through the ordeal with the going to trial, I didn't stand alone. The community, most pretty much the Black community supported me. I had supporters from the white community too, but as I said before to you all, I did get some ugly things said to me and about me from some of the white citizens. But there were some folk that supported me 100% through that trial. As a matter of fact, my attorneys paid a research firm to come in to do research and investigate to see if I could get a fair trial in Coffee County. And that's how we were able to also get it moved to another county, because the results showed that I would not be able to get a fair trial there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
But with this voting and trying to get people out to go vote, there are several people. We do have teams that's in place. There are a few pastors, some deacons, and I'm working on trying to get some more to be involved. I had a couple pastors contact me a few weeks back, and Deacon Jackson out of Ware County, Georgia, contacted me and told me his thoughts and plans, and he's gotten with some other clergy. And so we're working on some things, pulling some things together for our communities as a whole. We want to network together. So yeah, overall, we're trying to move forward.
Network is net worth. Absolutely. Fact.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was told to tell you, Olivia, that Judge Paul Nally is on here watching.
I know Judge Nally. I do know Judge Nally. Judge Nally came to Coffee County to try to help on some issues, and sad to say, he got indicted for something he was trying to do on behalf of helping a person. He and Bobby Worthy. I don't know if Bobby, he probably couldn't get into it because I think it's kind of pending. But anyway, yeah, I know Judge Nally. Hi, Judge Nally. Hi to everyone that's watching.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that's on here chiming in. I mean,
okay.
This chat line on the side, it's been lighting up all evening. So it's steady messages coming through.
Okay.
But we're gonna slow it down and end the show. But I want to let's do this. We are gonna go ahead and end it. I'm gonna go ahead and say mine. We're gonna go around, but Olivia, we're gonna let you have the last word. Okay, and you can reach out and tell everybody that's gonna be watching. You can speak your mind, speak your truth. But so I'm gonna go first. Like I said, I appreciate everybody coming out every week. We try hard every week to keep putting these shows out that's gonna raise attention, keep you aware, keep you prepared, and on your toes. Like I said, I appreciate each and every one of you to come on here every week that chimes in. Don't forget to hit that like button on the side. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Like I said, with all these people sitting here watching, send this link to someone. Someone needs to watch this, as well as a lot of the other shows that we're watching. So for the new ones that's on here, go back and watch some of these older shows that we have on here, because these shows tell a lot of information. It spits a lot of truth. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to Aaron. And like I said, peace and love to everyone. And thank you all once again for coming out.
Okay, well, I feel I've got a quote here I want to read, and I feel this is a clear example of Olivia, what she's done for her community and things. And it goes like this: if we all can be considered as human life sources, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And I say she's a clear example of action, not words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Guys, I can't thank you all enough for coming and hanging out with us on the Diamond Effect, man. We got Archbishop's, information scrolling on the bottom. If you guys would like to help out the show, he's got his Cash App right there scrolling on the bottom, $Bishop8752. Go ahead and show love and support over there. Also, I want to give a big thank you to Tiffany and Brother Shadow for becoming YouTube members, man. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It goes a long way. This is how we continue on to the show. Your guys' love and support goes a long way. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for liking the video. That's the #1 metric of all of YouTube. And I really can't thank you enough for coming on to our show, you know what I mean, and talking with us, Olivia. I know it's not necessarily the easiest of things to go ahead and get in front of a camera and start talking to the public, but it is a necessary evil, especially as you know, in your game, right? So thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us and, and telling your story.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You all are very welcome. Like I said before, thank you for the invitation. It's important. It's important because, in today's time, we have so many issues we are faced with. So many issues. We have people who are suffering with mental health issues. People don't know the magnitude of the issues that people are faced with. We have to learn, I think we should learn to pull together to do what is right for the betterment of our society. Like I said, what can we do? How can we do to make this place better for those coming along after us? There were some things it's just so much division, so much fighting. And I believe if we would treat people like we want to be treated, things would be so much better. But to the people watching, I just like to say thank y'all for watching. I love people. I love people. I have my kids tell me all the time, just stop trying to do for folks. Leave people alone, move this, that, and other. But that's not my heart. That's not my heart. We just got to do better. We got to do better. And I'm praying that we will. We shouldn't be divided by whether you're Democrat, Republican, whether you're black, white, whether you're gay, straight. People are different. We have to respect people for who they are. The Bible tells us to not judge. Who are we? We all have sin and we all have faults. We can't point fingers. We got to love one another. So that's what I like to leave with the audience and to y'all. I am about love. And it's something I saw today. I can't remember who said it. Oh, it was first Black Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall. And he said, we must recognize the humanity of our fellow beings. We are all human beings. So let's treat everyone with love and respect. Thank you all so much for having me.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what's up right there. With that being said, everybody, we'll see you guys in 7 days, man. Thank you all for tuning in with us, and we'll see you guys here on the flip side. Much love and respect to everybody.
There